Welcome to another foray into folklore and legend. Today we will be exploring the eerie tales of black dogs recorded throughout history. In the realms of folklore, few creatures capture the imagination quite like the legendary black dogs. These spectral canines prowl through tales told across the British Isles and beyond, their presence an enduring symbol of myth and superstition. Picture, if you will, a dog of imposing stature, large and shaggy, standing as tall as a calf. But these are no ordinary hounds. Their eyes blaze with an otherworldly fire, a clear sign of their supernatural nature. These black dogs are a paradox, both terrifying and occasionally helpful. Their true intentions as mysterious as the shadows they inhabit. The black dogs are a type of supernatural entity that is said to roam the countryside, particularly in rural areas. They are often described as large, dark-coloured dogs with glowing eyes and are associated with death, the supernatural, and the underworld. Some are interpreted as omens, while others are part of the wild hunt. They are also linked to the fairies as well as the devil. Across the country, stories of these ethereal beasts abound, each region adding its own twist to the tale. In England, they often take on a particularly chilling role, that of human ghosts, their canine form a vessel for restless spirits. But beware, to speak to these apparitions or strike out against them is to court disaster. Like the infamous Muth Doog, the black dog of Peel Castle in the Isle of Man, they possess the power to blast, to bring destruction upon those who dare to confront them. One such tale comes from the village of Finstock in Oxfordshire. Here, a black dog was said to have been laid, a term for exorcising or confining a spirit. But the method of its binding is as intriguing as the beast itself. It took the combined power of prayers, the presence of a mother with her newborn child, and a pair of clappers to subdue the creature. These clappers, separated and cast into two different village ponds, serve as a magical lock. Legend has it that should these clappers ever reunite, the black dog of Finstock will once again roam free. But not all black dogs are harbingers of doom. In Ruth Tongue's Forgotten Folk Tales of the English Counties, published in 1970, we find the Collingbourne Kingston Black Dog. This tale paints the creature in a different light, as an instrument of justice, suggesting that these spectral hounds may serve a higher purpose in the cosmic balance. Among the various forms these supernatural canines take, one stands out for its association with hallowed ground, the church grim. While Edwin Sidney Hartland touches upon this guardian spirit in his English fairy and folk tales from 1890, it's T. Brown's treatise in Folklore, published just 2 years later in 1892, that truly delves into the depths of this fascinating phenomenon. As we venture deeper into the lore of black dogs, we discover a rich tapestry of variations. Some of these hounds have found a place among the Fae, serving as loyal watchdogs or fierce hunting companions to the fairy folk. In the misty highlands of Scotland, tales speak of the Coo She, while Welsh legends tell of the Coon Annwn. These creatures blur the line between individual entity and spectral pack echoing the eerie howls of the hounds of the hill. Indeed, the concept of supernatural packs is a common thread in these tales. Imagine the bone-chilling sight of Cheney's hounds racing across the night sky, or the terror of encountering Dando and his infernal pack. The Devil's Dandy dogs, Gabriel hounds, Gabriel ratchets, and Yeth hounds all speak to a primal fear of the wild hunt, their spectral forms often accompanied by equally terrifying demonic huntsmen. Yet not all of these creatures run in packs. Some, like the menacing Gallytrot, the fearsome Grant, and the dreaded Muth Doog, are solitary terrors. They stalk the night alone, their very presence enough to freeze the blood of any unfortunate soul who crosses their path. But even among these solitary spirits we find guardians. The Church Grim and the guardian Black Dog stand as protectors, their fierce loyalty a bulwark against darker forces. These creatures remind us that even in the realm of the supernatural, there is a balance between light and dark, protection and menace. Let's explore some of these fascinating creatures. As we delve deeper into the shadowy world of spectral hounds, we encounter a creature of particular infamy, the Barguest. This terrifying entity belongs to a class of spirits known as bogies or bogey beasts, mischievous and often dangerous beings whose sole delight seems to be tormenting humankind. Imagine, if you will, a beast that embodies the very essence of nightmares. The Barguest is said to possess horns, razor-sharp teeth, and wicked claws, its eyes blazing with an otherworldly fire. Yet, like many of its spectral brethren, the Barguest is a master of disguise. William Henderson, in his fascinating work Folklore of the Northern Counties, published in 1879, draws a close connection between the Barguest and other legendary creatures like Padfoot and the Headley Cow. These beings share an uncanny ability to shift their forms, though the Barguest most often chooses to appear as a shaggy black dog with enormous, fiery eyes. In the annals of folklore, this creature is widely feared as a harbinger of death. Henderson recounts a chilling tale from the area between Reghorn and Headingley Hill near Leeds. In times past, this stretch of wasteland was said to be the Barguest's haunting ground. When a person of note in the district was about to pass from this world, the Barguest would make a grim appearance, leading a macabre procession. Picture the scene. The spectral hound emerges from the mists, its eyes glowing like embers in the night. As it begins its solemn march, a strange and terrible magic takes hold. All the dogs in the area fall under its spell, following the Barguest, while howling and baying, as if announcing the approach of death itself. It's a scene straight from the depths of our darkest imaginings, a symphony of the supernatural that chills the blood and quickens the heart. Henderson's account gains an extra layer of authenticity from a curious detail. He speaks of meeting an elderly man who claimed to have witnessed this eerie parade as a child. Can you imagine the impact of such a sight on a young mind? The memory of those glowing eyes and that unearthly howling, carrying through the decades, a living link to the legends of old. For those seeking an even earlier account of the Barguest, we can turn to William Hone's Everyday Book, published in 1827. Within its pages, Hone provides a vivid report of an encounter with this terrifying creature.
You see, sir, as how I'd been o'clock dressing at Gurston, and I'd stayed rather late, and maybe getting a little supper and spirit, but I was far from being drunk, and knowed everything that passed. It was about 11 o'clock when I left, and it was at back end of the year, and a most admirable night it was. The moon was very bright, and I never seen Kilestone Fell plainer in all my life. Now you see, sir, I was passing down to Mill, and I heard something come past me. Brush, 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 with chains rattling all the while, but I saw nothing. And I thought to myself, now this is a most mortal queer thing. And I then stood still and looked about me, but I saw nothing at all. Nothing but the 2 stones was on each side of the mill. Then I heard again this brush, brush, brush with the chains, for you see, sir, when I stood still it stopped, and then, thought I, this must be a Barguest, that say much is said about, and I hurried on toward the woodbridge, for they say as how this Barguest cannot cross a water, but Lord, sir, when I got over the bridge, I heard this same again. So it must either have crossed the water, or have gone round by the spring head, and then I became a valiant man, for I were a bit frightened afore, and thinks I'll turn and have a peep at this thing. So I went up Great Bank towards Linton, and heard this brush, brush, brush with the chains all the way, but I saw nothing. Then it ceased all of a sudden. So I turned back to go home, but I'd hardly reached the door when I heard again this brush, 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 and the chains going down toward Hollin House, and I followed it, and the moon there shone very bright, and I saw its tail. Then thought I, that odd thing, I can say I've seen thee now, so I'll away home. When I got to the door there was a great thing like a sheep, but it was larger, legging across the threshold of the door, and it was woolly-like, and I says, "Get up," and it wouldn't get up. Then says I, "Stir thyself," and it wouldn't stir itself. And I grew valiant, and I raised my stick to baste it with. And then it looked at me, and sick eyes they did glower, and was as big as saucers, and like a gruel bowl. First there was a red ring, then a blue one, then a white one. And these rings grew less and less till they came to a dot. I know I was none feared on it, though it grinned at me fearfully, and I kept on saying, "Get up and stir thyself." And the wife heard as how I was at the door, and she came to open it. And then this thing got up and walked off, for it was more frightened of the wife than it was of me. And I told the wife, and she said as how it was a Barguest, but I never saw it since, and that's a true story.
Less menacing than some of its kin, the Church Grim is a guardian spirit taking the form of a black dog, standing watch over hallowed ground. This ethereal protector, born from a widespread tradition, was believed to shield churchyards from the machinations of the devil and the wiles of witches. Yet, even in its role as protector, the Church Grim carried an air of foreboding. Those fortunate, or perhaps unfortunate, enough to catch a glimpse of this spectral guardian often interpreted its appearance as a portent of death. This belief, woven deeply into the fabric of local lore, finds mention in Mrs. Gutch's county folklore of 1892, and is further explored by William Henderson in his faux lore of the northern counties. Henderson delves deeper, suggesting a connection between the Church Grim and ancient foundation sacrifices. He draws fascinating parallels to similar beliefs across Scandinavia. In Sweden, the Kyrkogrim often appeared as a lamb, echoing an early Christian practice of burying a lamb beneath the altar. Meanwhile, in Denmark, the Kyrkogrim took on the form of a grave sow, each variation a reflection of local customs and beliefs. Thomas Wright, in his 1852 essays on English folklore, paints a vivid picture of the Yorkshire Church Grim. Imagine a stormy day, dark clouds roiling overhead. It's in such gloomy weather that the Grim might be seen, prowling around the church by day or night. Some tales speak of it tolling the bell at midnight before a death, a solemn knell echoing across the shadowy landscape. At funerals, it was said that the officiating clergyman could spot the Grim peering out from the church tower, its aspect revealing whether the soul of the departed was bound for heaven or hell. But the lore of the Church Grim goes deeper still. Ruth Tongue, in her 1965 County Folklore collection, recounts a chilling belief. When a new churchyard was consecrated, it was thought that the first person buried there was duty-bound to guard it against the devil's influence. To spare a human soul from this eternal vigil, a pure black dog would be buried in the north part of the churchyard as a substitute. This practice, a blend of compassion and superstition, speaks volumes about the complex relationship our ancestors had with death and the supernatural. A similar belief held sway in the Scottish Highlands, as J.G. Campbell tells us in his 1900 work, Superstitions of the Highlands and Islands of Scotland. Here, the duty of guarding the graveyard fell to the last buried corpse, a responsibility only relieved by the next funeral. One can only imagine the mix of grief and relief felt by families as they laid their loved ones to rest, knowing that their time as spectral guardians would be limited. As we venture beyond the churchyard, we encounter a different breed of spectral hound, the wish hounds, also known as yell hounds or yeth hounds. These ghostly black dogs with their glowing red eyes have haunted tales for centuries, their origins lost in the mists of time. The name Wish, we're told, comes from a Sussex word meaning marsh, painting a picture of these eerie creatures prowling through foggy lowlands. Legend warns that encountering these hounds is rarely a good omen. On Dartmoor, tales speak of spectral, headless hounds that gather in the valley of Dewstone. Their territory stretches into Cornwall, where they're said to hunt the demon John Tregeagle. While their huntsman is often presumed to be the devil himself, some tales offer a more local flavour. In Plymouth, it was sometimes said that the ghost of Sir Francis Drake would drive a hearse into town, followed by a pack of these headless hounds, a spectral procession that surely sent shivers down the spines of any who witnessed it. In the parish of St. Teith, we find another variation on this theme. Here, the spectral pack is said to have once belonged to an old squire named Cheney. Though little is known of Cheney, his unpopularity in life seems to have condemned him to lead this ghostly hunt in death. On the aptly named Cheney Downs, locals claim to sometimes see, and more often hear, the ghosts of these dogs, their eerie cries carried on the wind, especially in rough weather. The Abbott's Way on Dartmoor, an ancient road stretching into Cornwall, is reputed to be a favourite haunt of these spectral hounds. Here, they're known as the Wish or Whisked Hounds of Dartmoor. The legend surrounding these creatures is particularly grim. It's said that if mortal dogs hear the cry of the Wish Hounds, they're doomed to die. The very word wish in this context is linked to the West Country term whist, denoting a sorrow so profound and all-consuming that it transcends ordinary melancholy. In his poem, The Wishful Swain of Devon, first published in 1792, Richard Polwhale writes,
And then he sought the dark green lane, whose willows mourned the faded year. Sighing, I heard the lovelorn swain, Wishness, oh, wishness, I walketh here.
As we draw our journey through the shadowy realm of ghostly hounds to a close, it's important to note that the tales we've explored are but a fraction of the rich tapestry of black dog lore. From the windswept moors of Yorkshire to the misty coastal cliffs of Cornwall, from the rolling hills of Wales to the rugged highlands of Scotland, stories of these enigmatic creatures abound. Each region, each village, and sometimes each family seems to have its own unique encounter or legend to share. These tales, as numerous as the stars in the night sky, speak to the enduring stories of folklore and the deep-seated connection between humans and canines, both real and surreal. The black dogs of British folklore, in all their myriad forms, continue to prowl the landscapes of our imagination, reminding us of the thin veil between our world and the realm of spirits, and the timeless nature of our fascination with the mysterious and the unknown. Thank you for joining me on this discovery of the mysterious black dog. If you enjoyed learning about the folk stories, legendary tales, and stranger myths associated with these creatures, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos exploring our folklore and legends. I love reading your comments as well, so let me know what other topics you'd like me to cover. Until next time, thanks for watching and farewell.